Usually when you construct a budget, you have to figure out how much money you need before you decide to create the tax rate. So you need to know how much money you have, and then you have to know what the property in town is worth. We have a commercial rate, we have a residential rate, and then the industrial rate is the same as the commercial rate. Once you know those components, you can construct the tax rate. Well, I thought it was interesting because I saw it in the paper. Can everybody see that, or is that blurry?
Okay.
Okay. So it's me.
There
we go. So, one in every crowd. So I saw a quote in the newspaper. It said, "The tax bills are higher than the previous year because Dedham revalued properties and the values went up." The problem with that is it kind of ignores the formula. You create the tax rate after you know the values, and then you know how much you need. So if you budget, and if you can take the waste out of the budget, you can set the tax rate. You can set it so that your taxes go down if you don't waste your money. And we'll also talk a little bit about some of the things that are in the budget that I know can come out. And for some of you that don't know, I used to be the Assistant Director of Finance for the town, so I was pretty involved in this process. And that's why I know that there's things in the budget that can come up. So we did reduce taxes a few times, actually. One year we used what was called the overlay, but everybody's probably heard from last year the term free cash. And free cash, as I've mentioned before, is really, in its simplest form, your leftover tax money from the prior year. Well, I agree that taxes are too high.
Yeah,
as far as the services that get delivered in town, I think we have good services delivered in town. This is not about personnel. It's not about laying off people. There's enough in that budget to come out that can have a serious effect on the amount of money you spend on taxes, not just the tax rate. Last year, during my interview with Dedham TV, Scott Heald was one of the moderators, and he said, "Well, the tax rate went down, right?" And I said, "Yes, it did. Did your taxes go down?" He said, "No, they went up." Well, what would you rather have? I raise the tax rate if we can make the actual physical amount of dollars that come out of our pocket go down. I don't care what the tax rate is. The extra revenue left over from last year becomes free cash at the end of the fiscal year, once it gets certified by the state. So it's your money. And again, that money has been used, sporadically infused into the budget in order to reduce the tax rate, but that doesn't change the need for the budget. What's in there?
7 million to 28 million.
Yeah, 7 million to 28 million. And then when you add on the public safety campus, which was going to originally be a renovation of the town hall, and now it's going to be a demolition and a construction project, you're up to $73 million.
Wow.
Wow.
The amount of debt that we have, it's just not sustainable. The Board of Selectmen, in our town, the Board of Selectmen appoints the town manager. That's going to be an important decision, because it's going to need to be somebody that financial skills to get us through what's going on right now, to get that town hall open, and to get through what I see coming down the pipe. I don't know if any of you saw the article I sent after town meeting into the Dedham Times, but we spent $700,000, I think we took out of roads money to put into the Robin Reyes Fund. And I worked on those projections, and I can tell you that was never the intent of the Robin Reyes Fund. That fund was supposed to sustain us in terms of capital needs for many, many years, and it didn't. So we need somebody that's going to be prudent about how we space out our capital projects, and is going to be financially, fiscally prudent with how he spends our money. Our expenses are about $4,000 per capita. Every man, woman, and child, whether you pay taxes, whether you vote or not, every man, woman, and this child accounts for $4,000 of our budget every year. In other towns, similar communities, it's about $2,900. That's a big difference. I don't think there's anyone in this room that wouldn't mind not having to spend $1,100 per person. So what does this mean? It means that our average tax bill is it's a little under $6,900. In other similar communities, that same tax bill is about $4,900. And that's a big difference. Our general government, our per capita general government is 170% higher than similar cities and towns. Wow. That's a big difference. Our debt, and debt is the thing, this number comes from before the municipal project that we're doing. Our debt is already 30% higher than similar towns. And that's why the Robin Reyes Fund